Hello and welcome to our Reflect series where we are studying the book of Revelation. Over the past two episodes, we've been looking at the seals on the scroll that's revealed in Revelation chapter 5. And in chapter 6, we've seen the seals open on the scroll one at a time, each bringing a judgment with the judgments building on each other. And today we're going to explore the fifth and sixth seals being opened. So let's start by reading our scripture passage for today. We're going to be reading Revelation chapter 6, verses 9 to 17. When he opened the fifth seal, I saw under the altar the souls of those who had been slain because of the word of God and the testimony they had maintained. They called out in a loud voice, "How long, sovereign Lord, holy and true, until you judge the inhabitants of the earth and avenge our blood?" Then each of them was given a white robe, and they were told to wait a little longer, until the full number of their fellow servants, their brothers and sisters, were killed just as they had been. I watched as he opened the sixth seal. There was a great earthquake. The sun turned black like sackcloth made of goat hair. The whole moon turned blood red, and the stars in the sky fell to earth as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. And the heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up, and every mountain and island was removed from its place. And then the kings of the earth, the princes, the generals, the rich, the mighty, and everyone else, both slave and free, hid in caves and among the rocks and the mountains. They called to the mountains and the rocks, "Fall on us and hide us from the face of him who sits on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of their wrath has come, and who can withstand it?" With the fifth seal, we see a change in what happens when it opens. The first four seals open brought calamities on the earth. The fifth seal is open, and we are given a glimpse into the heavenly realm, reflecting on events on earth. We see that those who have been martyred for their faith, and we're also told about those who will be martyred. The references to the "until the full number were killed" shows us that some are already dead, but there are more to be killed for their faith. Those martyred are called out asking for justice. What is made clear is that there is no world opposed to God that will welcome those who follow him. That's the reality. If the world opposes God, they will not welcome those who follow him. And we've seen that historically over the last 2,000 years as people have been martyred and killed for their faith again and again and again. And it still happens to this day. And so this actually shows the reasons for the calamities of the first four seals that have occurred. The world that opposes God will receive justice. It's being called out for. The very justice those martyred are calling out for. And it shows us two things. First, that those who follow God will suffer and be persecuted even to the point of death. We know this historically, we see it, but it's being acknowledged here too that this is a reality. It also shows that they entrust their God to bring about justice, and they are told to rest and trust God. I think another thing it shows us is that there's a bigger picture than just this world and what happens here. That people will die for their faith, but that's not the end of the story. There's more to come, and God is at work. And while we might wonder why God allows that to happen, there's a bigger picture, and God's justice will prevail. And then the sixth seal is open, and we see that the struggles and trials the world is facing is a crescendo, growing and growing. The cataclysmic disasters are nothing ordinary in this world. The sun becomes black, the moon turns red, the mountains and islands are moved. The idea of God shaking creation is a warning of judgment to come. It's a present in the Old Testament, in the prophets, and the Psalms. And here it becomes reality. And we don't know what these disasters will be exactly. Many people have tried to guess and posture ideas and to figure it out. But what we need to know is that these are extraordinary and perhaps are even things we have never seen. And what we see next, after we're told about what happens, is the response of those who experience these horrible events. We see their desperation, but also their recognition of God bringing this upon them. And the image upholds Old Testament prophecy that the powerful and privileged will not be exempt. The people are calling out for protection from God's judgment, so much so they're calling out for mountains and rocks to fall on them and hide them from that judgment from heaven and the Lamb. This image of the wrath of the Lamb is an unusual one, but leads us to a mystery that I do not think we can resolve since we do not know the mind of God, the mystery of God's kindness and severity that we see in these verses. The Lamb who sacrificed himself for the world, but also the wrath against human sin we see. And the image is clear: no one can escape the Lamb, either through grace or his wrath. The Lamb reigns over all. And that Lamb is Jesus, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, and his reign is complete and total. And for us, there should be encouragement in that God's justice will prevail, but also that Jesus reigns over all, and that his grace is sufficient for us. Look forward to seeing you next time.